I read around 13, 14, 15, André Gide, and then Jean-Paul Sartre, Nausea, this wonderful book. And I understood him immediately that we were thrown in the world, no purpose. We are there. Nous sommes là. We are there. And Simone de Beauvoir, I read The Second Sex, and I said, I have a friend. I'm no more alone. I have a friend. But the authorities of the university phoned my parents that I had on my desk these books. And when I came home, my mother threw the books in the fire. And my father was an intelligent man, said, you should be a gentleman. I said, I'm a girl, I'm not a gentleman. He said, you should do your things in secret. You should be more, not bring books like that at your university. And to have a secret life is very important. It was a good advice. And then, out of despair, I wrote to Simone de Beauvoir, and it was the bottle in the sea, la bouteille à la mer, because she answered.
Alors, on vient ressusciter le passé.
Oh, I could not believe it. You see, I wrote to her at Gallimard, at the publishing house. I didn't have her address. And she wrote back, and we wrote for 3 years before I met her in Paris at 18. She opened the door, and I said, me voici, here I am. And a friendship began that lasted 30 years. I was every 2 weeks in Montreal at the radio and at the TV, and speaking about John Steinbeck or Marguerite Duras or Nathalie Sarraute or the writers I was meeting in the summer vacation. And so one day I said to them, I would like to make a film on you. They had never appeared on the French TV of de Gaulle. You know, it was very straight at the time. You were left or bon. It was not the Macron type of society at all. Bon. And I said, I would like you to appear in a film, black and white. It was at the time of the new wave of François Truffaut with the camera on the shoulder. And I would like to do that. She said to me, you are 24, you are a young woman in your 20s, Madeleine. You know, do you know, I know that you know my work, but I think you should be assisted by Claude Lanzmann, who was 38. And a journalist, bon. So they accepted to do it. And of course, I worked a lot to do it because I wanted to start to explain what is an intellectual. What is the role of the intellectual? To always question, not to stop the questioning about the society, about politics. So why he refused the Nobel Prize? He didn't want to be separate from the common man, you know? He says that honors, he refused every honor. He was living in a little room. This man who made millions, giving money to the others, to the causes, to people in poverty, to mistresses. You see, bon, this was this kind of man. And he refused the Nobel because he thought that it could be a separation from his public, from the common man. He says,
la manière de tant de pauvres mes confrères, le surhomme, mais au contraire, être le plus homme possible, c'est-à-dire le plus semblable aux autres.
Et le prix Nobel de littérature aurait été une distinction.
Le prix Nobel de littérature aurait été précisément une petite distinction.
Probably for Sartre, it is the idea of freedom, of the fact that we must change, we must do something for others, especially now in the globalization. Sartre was the man of Vietnam, he was the man for the Cuban Revolution, he was the man for the young people, for students. And I think that in what we are living now, we must do something. They hoped in revolution, and it did not come. It did not come because the society changed. The peasants became workers, and then you know how it has changed so much. And it's like Simone de Beauvoir on maternity. After all, women want to marry. They want to marry. And the situation is changing with all the men trying to help now, trying to push the cart of the babies, putting the children on their shoulders, trying to help at home, which is the big question. So, of course, life changed, not in the way they thought. They thought, Simone de Beauvoir thought that feminism had no future. She wanted l'avenir, the future, but she was, in 67, she thought it is the American woman who read her thoroughly, and she became iconic there, you see. So Simone de Beauvoir is now much more popular than Sartre. Sartre is more with scholars who are discussing his idea of freedom in Marxism, because he was a Marxist. He loved Marxism. He had studied it thoroughly.
Je veux dire, est-ce que c'est...
It was the end of an era. You see, when Sartre was buried, there were 50,000 people in the street. 50 people. Imagine in front of the cemetery Montparnasse, 50 people. All, you know that he ate in a restaurant every day, La Coupole, and all the waiters were hiding him from all the admirers and the Cubans and the Algerians, asking him for money or a preface or something, and they were hiding him near the toilets, and they loved him. And they called le petit homme, the little man. He was not a beautiful man. He was but a genius, a little man, and they protected him. And the day of his death, they were just there, saying goodbye to him on the road to the cemetery. 50,000 people, all the nationalities. Simone de Beauvoir, 10,000 people. It was different. And it's finished because the status of the writer has changed. Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir wanted to express the totality of the world. It's with Deleuze, with the other philosopher, Deleuze, Derrida, Lévi-Strauss, Althusser, also you can name other philosophies, and women, even Julia Kristeva and others, they don't have the fame. They are more competent in the world.
Merci. Oui, quand même. C'est combien, s'il vous plaît?
It's amusing to see the young people of Georgia, the young intellectuals, the young women. You see, their father, their mother wanted them to study. For me, it was a fight. My mother said, I have 6 blonde girls. They will marry doctors, and they will be bourgeois, and they will receive, and all that. And I wanted to study since I was a little girl. I recently found a letter of my mother that I have kept. I found this letter in which she says to me that I am a scandal for the family. You see, that she does not understand, that she has heard from newspapers or in TV that I was the friend of Simone de Beauvoir, and that I must get out of that, and that she loves me, but that it is not good for my family and for myself. So probably I was very sad at the moment, you see, and today, no, I'm very glad I followed my path. It was hard, but I am glad, I'm happy about my life as Simone de Beauvoir was. But it is true that I went to to the others. I met many interesting people, many interesting women. It is not easy to be against the family, huh? It was hard.